Happening now, the number of those who have recovered from COVID-19 in our area continue to rise. Plus, we update the effort to reopen New York State and Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties.
Well, the satellite and radar composite shows you just a lot of clouds around the southern tier today. That'll continue, but is there any better weather ahead? We will talk about it next as the news at noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now on this Tuesday. I'm Justin Gould. Another person has recovered from COVID-19 in Chautauqua County. Health officials during their Monday afternoon update also reported no new cases of the virus. So far, there remain a total of 37 confirmed cases, with 4 active, 29 recovered, and 4 deaths. In Cattaraugus County, officials reported 2 people recovering from the virus, with no new cases reported yesterday. Well, at his daily briefing, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo outlined the 4 phases of reopening the state. The governor says the 4 phases will be regional, and each region's reopening will be determined by the rate of infection, hospital capacity, diagnostic testing capacity, and tracing capacity. The governor says that construction, manufacturing, and select retail for pickup will open up first. Then restaurants and hotels will be followed by arts, entertainment, recreation, and education.
Reopening is more difficult than the close down. The close down was relatively simple, right? You go into the basement, you throw the big power switch, and everything just goes down. Close the businesses, stay at home. It was a blunt operation. And one that was done all across the country. Just stop everything now. When you go to restart the reopening, now knowing what we know, it's more nuanced. You have to be more careful. And again, no one has done this before, and no one has been here before.
The New York State on pause order expires on May 15th, and regions may start to reopen if they meet the state's requirements at that date. Now this afternoon, New York State Senator George Borrello is holding a Facebook Live Q&A to explain more about his plan to reopen New York State. Viewers can watch that live at 4 p.m. on his Facebook page. Well, a revised model from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation and the University of Washington nearly doubles its previous prediction of United States COVID-19 deaths by August. This comes as more states step towards reopening their economies. John Lawrence with more from Washington.
The United States facing a double-edged sword.
There's no way to sugarcoat it. If we don't open up the economy, we can feel the pressure. If we do open it up, we will feel the pain.
The social distancing since the coronavirus pandemic broke out caused unemployment in the U.S. to skyrocket, and companies of all sizes are feeling the pinch. Gold's Gym and J. Crew have filed for bankruptcy protection, while United Airlines is telling workers to seriously consider leaving voluntarily. Medical officials say easing restrictions will cause the disease to spread more rapidly.
When you have mitigation that's containing something, and unless it's down in the right direction and you pull back prematurely, you're going to get a rebound of cases.
But some say keeping the restrictions also poses a threat.
We've got to let some of these folks get back to work, because if we don't, we're going to destroy the American way of life in these families.
That's why officials and leaders are trying to reach a balance.
There are regions, areas, counties, cities in which you can do that safely now. But there are others that if you do that, it's really dangerous. And that's the thing you've got to be careful of.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
All right, John, thank you. The Food and Drug Administration has given emergency use authorization to a new antibody test that looks for proof of a person has been infected with the virus. President Trump, in an interview with Fox News earlier this week, says that COVID-19 and a vaccine is possible before the end of the year. Well, in order to help Jamestown Public School students and families with continued learning at home, the Instructional Services team has launched a new website. The new resource, which mirrors what teachers will be including in their instructions, are updated at jpsny.org/learning at home. Now, some of the new materials and resources on that website include educational resources for grades UPK through high school students. These resources include parent calendars with the topic, resources, and even some ideas on how parents can help support learning at home. For example, during Shape Week, school officials say families could go for a walk around the neighborhood and identify some shapes that the child is working on that week. Well, a local Girl Scout troop in Chautauqua County recently made a big donation to first responders amid this COVID-19 outbreak. The Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office says that Fredonia-based Girl Scout Troop 231 dropped off cookies at various sheriff locations. The department says it's heartwarming to know that members of that troop have kept them in their thoughts. The department thanks Scout Sydney and her mother for making the donations. Pretty cool to see a lot of support coming here for those on the front lines. We thank you so much for joining us for WNY News Now as we continue to put facts over fear in our coverage of COVID-19 and its effects on our everyday life here in Chautauqua and Cattaraugus County. Gotta say hello to Heidi. Hopefully you're doing well. Gotta say hello to Kevin, David, Carol, good to see you. Good afternoon to Joe as well. Heidi says she got tested at Jones Hill, or she has to be tested at Jones Hill because she believes that she has COVID-19, certainly waiting on her doctor's approval. Well, Heidi, our thoughts and prayers are with you as you go throughout this, and I think that's many for a lot of people is they're wondering, do I have the flu, do I have a cold, or do I have COVID-19? And there's so many questions out there, and that's why getting tested is one of the best ways to do it. On the broadcast today, we did have the president of UPMC Chautauqua Hospital here in Jamestown, Brian Derniak, scheduled to appear, but unfortunately, just 10 minutes ago, he canceled. We'll try to reschedule that for either later this week or definitely next week as he can update us on how testing has been at that facility there at Jones Memorial Hospital. They set up that facility about a month ago and have been doing a lot of tests from that point, and we want to know a lot more specifics about that. So we'll continue to follow that for developments and keep you updated. Well, now let's switch gears and get a check of our First Defense weather forecast. That's where we find Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. A happy Tuesday to you, Mr. Hunter.
Happy Tuesday, Jay. And do you know what today is, by the way, Justin?
I'm pretty sure it's Cinco de Mayo.
Hola, sí, Cinco de Mayo. Weather-o. Anyway, let's get into weather. Because I don't know how to say weather in Spanish. That is the camera coming from the Warren City Bank. You can see the clouds abode down there in northwestern Pennsylvania. 49, but look at this dew point of 17 degrees. The air is relatively dry at this point, even though we have a few clouds around. All of this is actually going to be heading our way over the next couple of days. So even though it's dry right now, yeah, some more precipitation is going to be on the way and some colder temperatures. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. 45 was the best we could do yesterday. That was the high that was the best we could squeak out. 31 was a low this morning. We'll talk about this during the full weather segment, talking about the low temperatures, and 88 and 19 are essentially in the record books for today. Here's a live look downtown Jamestown from the News Now cam. Basically just clouds about. We've seen a few peaks of sun at times. 43 at the airport north of the city with an east wind of 7, and the wind chill is down to 39 degrees when you combine the air temperature and the average wind speed together. So through the afternoon today, some partial sunshine in between. Otherwise, the clouds will start to filter in this afternoon. Basically some high clouds will start to filter in into the southern tier this afternoon, but it remains quite chilly. 46 on the highest hills to 51 on the lower elevations. That'll do it for today. We're going to be chasing a record as we go into the weekend. And how's Mother's Day looking? We'll talk about it in a few minutes. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you. I believe you're looking for the word El Clima.
El Clima?
El Clima. That's what my producers tell me. Thank you, sir. Coming up, New York State Senator George Borrello joins us to talk about the level of transparency within New York State government amid this COVID-19 pandemic. Stay with us.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first. With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
This is Christine Schuyler, Chautauqua County Public Health Director, with a very important message. We need you to make every effort to protect yourselves and our healthcare workers. If you absolutely don't need to go out, don't. If you have a mild cold or flu-like symptoms, with or without a fever, stay home. If your symptoms are severe, call your healthcare provider. Do not go to the emergency room or urgent care. Do not call 911 or go to the ER unless you are experiencing a life-threatening emergency. The best ways you can help prevent the spread of COVID-19 are to wash your hands often with soap and water, cover your cough, avoid close contact with others. Please stay home.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. Well, last week, New York State Senator George Borrello joined us where we asked him about the importance of transparency throughout this COVID-19 outbreak, and specifically about information coming from Albany. When you look at Albany and the directives that we've seen over the last month and some change, every day, now, yes, it's a pandemic, it's a global crisis, but every day it seemed like there was something new that came out that we had no forewarning for. And even the governor, I know, when he talks during his live briefings, he'll say that he's going to sign an executive order to do this, but then at least in the news media, we don't hear about any specifics until the next day when they send out a revised version of what he had to say. My question is, in regards to Governor Cuomo and the other state leaders who are all part of their clique, so to speak, your time in Albany, is that a real thing that happens there?
You hear about the 3 men in a room, right? Quote unquote, the 3 men in a room. And it does happen there. You know, I have been asking since I was a county legislator and county executive that we need more, transparency in state government. And quite frankly, if state government operated like county government does, not only would we be saving billions of dollars a year, we'd also have a better, more transparent government where the people get to participate in it. And that's just not what happens in Albany. So to answer your question is yes, there is institutionalized corruption. There's institutionalized, covert activities that occur every day in Albany as a result of a system that's broken and needs reform.
Do you think that we're seeing that play out during this COVID-19 pandemic?
We absolutely are. I mean, I voted against giving the governor sweeping authority as part of any emergency, anything that he deems an emergency, not just this COVID pandemic. And I voted against it because, again, it was a horrible overreach. It rose to the level of dictatorial power. And even though they put a limit on it of April of 2021, which to me is pretty far out there, it also, you can create a lot of damage in that year. And that's ultimately what is happening. You know, we did this budget. We went to Albany, in some cases, risking our safety to be there for a budget that essentially is written on an Etch-a-Sketch, because the governor can take that Etch-a-Sketch and shake it up and start over. That's the power that was given to him last month in the legislation that I voted against. I often think of the Benjamin Franklin quote about those who would sacrifice liberty for security, or at least the perception of security. That he said that several times in several ways, and that goes in my head on a daily basis, because that's what we're facing now. We are watching, power grabs being done in the name of this, of this pandemic. And again, we're talking about people trying to tell us, we're going to keep you safe. You just need to give me unlimited power and unlimited access to your money, and then I'll be able to keep you safe. And that, throughout the history of the world, has never been a good idea.
And in addition to your voice now, there is a group in New York State who has been going for a while. They're a constitutional rights group, but coming up this Friday, they have a protest scheduled in Albany, several major cities in the state, and including right here in Jamestown, where they're going to be practicing safe social distancing, but speaking out, saying we don't agree with the powers that the governor has been awarded during this time. For you to see these people speak up, do you think that the governor will hear their call?
I think our governor is looking at the polls, and right now he has a very high approval rating. I think the governor puts out these trial balloons where he says in the media, I'm going to issue this executive order. And sometimes that executive order doesn't come for a week or more because he's watching the polls. He's putting his finger to the political winds. So I hope that these protests, first and foremost, are respectful and that people do remain safe and practice social distancing because we still have a lot of unknowns out there. But ultimately, I hope that people speak out in a respectful and certainly nonviolent way. But people need to speak out and say that I am not willing to trade my liberty for your perception of security, and that we do need to restart our economy. And we cannot continue to put our nation into massive debt even further, intentionally, while also destroying businesses and families along the way. At some point we have to look at ourselves and say, we risk ourselves on a daily basis in so many ways. And calculated risk is what we're talking about, doing things safely, responsibly to reopen our economy. Like I've said before, no one is looking to flip a switch and going back to doing the things the old way. But I do believe that our governor has a political interest in this crisis not ending anytime soon, and that concerns me.
All right, Senator Borrello joining us on the broadcast last week to talk about transparency in Albany. And you can talk to the senator today during a live COVID-19 reopening question and answer session. That's taking place this afternoon at 4 o'clock on his Facebook page. We have a link with more posted at WNYNewsNow.com. Well, now let's get a check of our first offense weather forecast and with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. Hey, Dakota.
Hey, Justin. And as we talked about during the first weather segment, wanted to mention the low temperatures from this morning because, the in-house computer model that we run in the Weather Center played very well with the low temperatures this morning. There were a couple outliers, but for the most part, it played pretty well. 31 was the low here in town, 31 in Dunkirk, and 34 in Erie. This is a bit surprising because we were not expecting, especially, the Lake Erie shoreline to drop below freezing, but Erie did not, but Dunkirk did, and that was a bit surprising to see that. But most of these temperatures were right in line with what the models were showing, 27 in Olean, so that's why we had that freeze warning last night. And there's going to be more of this as we look down as we go down the week. So if you've planted anything, make sure you cover them up or bring them inside. Again, it's the same thing we say, don't plant anything you want to keep until right around Memorial Day. If you want to head out to the golf course today, courses are open, but you have to maintain social distance, 6 feet apart, your own carts and whatnot. 46 at 2 o'clock. We'll squeeze out possibly around 50 by the time we go through the afternoon. Our high should be around maybe 50 degrees today and 49 by the time we go to 6 o'clock. But some sun and clouds around through the afternoon. All in all, not bad, but it will be chilly. So just keep that in mind. All right, looking down the road, if you're a fan of game shows like me, the announcer on Password always would whisper the password. The password is cold. And this is definitely the password. Looking down the road here, cold weather is going to overtake us here as we go over the next 6 to 10 days here. When you see this dark purple color, that is the Weather Service believing very high confidence. This is a greater than 90% chance of colder than average temperatures over the next 6 to 10 days. Now, we're not talking, 20 degrees as highs, but we're talking well below average. We're looking at possibly 40s and maybe even 30s as we look to the weekend. And speaking of that, we're chasing a record. This is a record we don't talk about too often. The record low maximum temperature for a day. That is the lowest observed high temperature on record. And on Saturday, the record is 42. That's the maximum low high temperature that was set all the way back around the turn of the last century, 1902. We're forecasting 37 as our high on Saturday. If this verifies, and we're right with this, 37, this will be the new all-time lowest maximum high temperature on Saturday on record in the city of Jamestown. cold air coming in. All right, zone forecast. The inland areas today, this is where we're heading. Temperatures not warming up a whole lot from where they were yesterday. Almost a repeat of yesterday. Temperatures upper 40s to maybe lower 50s at times, especially in some spots. So not a lot of warmth out there. First Defense Doppler radar showing you dry sweeps, and it will stay that way through the day. High pressure is actually starting to move on now. All of this is going to be heading our way basically throughout the week, and you'll see that basically on the 7-day as the moisture starts to come back again, basically come into the area once again. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight. There is a small chance of a light rain or snow shower near the New York-Pennsylvania line tonight, but it's a very small chance. We'll call tonight otherwise mostly cloudy on average. Not as cold as it was this morning, but still chilly. 33 in the deepest valleys to 39 at the Lake Erie shoreline with a north wind averaging 5 to 10. Now the next 7 days of your life. I'm Planet Earth here on the screen. 47 tomorrow, 51 on Thursday. But look at the temperatures just go right down a cliff here. There's that high on Saturday of only 37. Mother's Day looking mainly dry as of now, but we do have a 25% chance of a light rain or snow shower in there. And Monday, yeah, we're back into the 40s, but it's not no better when our average high going into next week should be in the upper 60s. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. A lot more to tell you about. Stay with us.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
This is PJ Wendell, Chautauqua County Executive, with an important message. We are in the midst of a global pandemic, and it is inevitable that there will be cases of COVID-19 in our community. We are preparing for this reality and how it will affect our county. I'm greatly concerned about the economic impact that the closure of local businesses is having on our owners, operators, and employees, but we need to make every effort to protect our residents and our healthcare workers. These strategies decrease the opportunities for people to be in close contact with each other and spread disease. If you absolutely do not need to go out, please don't. Thank you.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Not tomorrow, but right now on the WNY News Now mobile app. Follow local news as it happens.
The mother of a special education student at Maple Grove High School is speaking out.
And stay informed with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network.
And Lake Erie is covered in less than 1% of ice as this winter season has entered its peak.
Download the WNY News Now app right now. It's free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Well, Olay, it's Cinco de Mayo and Taco Tuesday today. Now, our fiestas might look a little different this year, with restaurant dining rooms being closed due to COVID-19. But we can still celebrate. Turn on some music and make tacos and margaritas at home, or you could even support local by picking up curbside and have it delivered from your favorite Mexican restaurant. Now, by the way, a lot of people think that Cinco de Mayo is Mexico's Independence Day, but it actually commemorates Mexico's victory over the French at the Battle of Puebla in 1862. There's your fun fact for today. Hopefully everybody is having a good day and staying healthy out there. We thank you so much for joining us here on WNY News Now. Well, let's get a final check of our weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. And Mr. Hunter, as you mentioned, things are not looking like spring out there. Or won't
No, things are going to be changing. And, you know, this past weekend was great, but yeah, don't get used to it because that kind of weather is not coming our way anytime soon. Want to mention this again. The record low maximum high temperature for Saturday, that's the lowest observed high temperature, is 42, set all the way back in 1902. We're forecasting 37 this Saturday. If we hit that, this will be our coldest Saturday of the date. Saturday is what? The 10th? I believe. Jay? Anybody?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to wait. The 9th.
Okay, the 9th. I was close. So Saturday the 9th of May if we hit this 37 or anywhere below 42 degrees, we will have a new record high, lowest maximum temperature for the day here in the city. So yeah, I hope you haven't put away those winter coats just yet, because you're going to be needing them.
Yeah, not looking forward to it, but
sorry.
Thank you, Dakota. You know, you're only the messenger.
I know.
We all forget that all the time. You're only the messenger. But
well, hey, you know what? If it's any, if it's any sort of thing, I can get on my phone right now, and we can, actually, come to think of it, I have the show on my phone right there.
Oh, there we are.
But yeah, there we go. There you go. Ooh, how creepy is that? But anyway, I can send a text to Mother Nature or whatnot, but unfortunately, this is not the conversation we had. She's a little mad at me right now, so that's why she's doing this.
What'd you do?
Well, let's just say that, Mother Nature and I had a little argument this past week, and she's deciding to do this, so
okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, hey, she gave you the nice golf forecast on Saturday, so that's all that matters.
On Sunday, yes.
Sunday.
I went out on Sunday, yeah.
Both days were nice, minus the wind. I was out Saturday, and it was windier than anything. And I was trying to.
It was windier than all get out. Well, actually, in a way that helps, and in a way it doesn't help golfers, because you have to keep your eyes on the wind, how how strong the wind is, and which direction the wind is blowing, so that way you know which direction to hit your ball. You always want to hit the ball in direction with the wind, because the wind will curve it. So if the wind is blowing east to west, you want to hit your ball east, because that will ultimately curve your ball back to the west with the wind.
Oh, well, don't go golfing with Dakota. He'll kick our butts.
No. I am absolutely terrible. I actually have a video of me teeing off. I might throw that on my Twitter and the First Defense Weather page. So Hunters WX on Twitter and First Defense Weather on Facebook if you want to see me having a disastrous time teeing off, because I am absolutely terrible.
We'll look forward to it, Dakota. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That does it for us today. Of course, news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. We leave you with this live look over downtown Jamestown. Looking good right now. When you're on the go, stay in the know by downloading our mobile app. It's on the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Just search WNY News Now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. We're back tomorrow live at noon. Hope to see you then.